Hi everyone, welcome back to Creatively Crafted Life. This is Melanie and today we are talking all things scraps. So this year, 2020, I have been focusing on trying to use up my scraps instead of storing them. I would say I'm probably about 80% successful. I do still have some scraps that I retain, but not nearly what I used to. So I thought I would take you along with me today. I've already emptied this bin out, but it was full. It was full of papers and stuff like that. So I've done a preliminary sort and I'm just going to walk you through how I sorted these things out and what I'm going to do with them. So the stuff that's left in here, this is watercolor paper that needs to go somewhere, and this needs to go in my travel bin. I had a huge stack of paper, cardstock, both 8.5 by 11 as well as 12 by 12. So I will need to go through this and color sort it. Nothing amazing about any of that. These are all byproducts of the paper pads that I have broken down, which will be coming soon in the new year, I think. So I do have a ton of these that need to be sorted and intermixed into my stash. So that was the biggest chunk, and I probably have what, like 6 inches? It's a little crazy, isn't it? Plus a paper pad. No judging. I have a couple sheets. This one's almost a full 12 by 12. This one is just slightly past 6 inches. And I am just going to put these in with my regular 12 by 12 storage, even though they are not full-size sheets. They are bigger than 8.5 by 11, and I will use these. I had a couple papers that are perfect for cutting apart. So I've got some rough cuts of some floral ones here, and I have some tickets. So these are going to go in my stash, in my die cut binder. These are going to go in a pile that need to be fussy cut, and then once those are done, they'll make their way into my binder as well. I have a hodgepodge of scraps here. A lot of white and black, which I usually try to keep those scraps because I use them quite a bit. Some of these are pattern paper, and what I'm going to do with these is pull out some dies and pre-cut some panels. Let me show you how I store those. So this is a tray that I picked up at the dollar store. It has a number of pre-cut panels in the back here. Some of them are scalloped, some of them are like a postage stamp, and I have them sort of sorted by color. I've also pre-cut out some circles, banners, etc. And also for sentiment strips, I've also pre-cut out a bunch of those from smaller pieces of scraps. I don't really need any more of these pattern paper. I will probably do more panels, or I will make some base cards. I've done quite a few videos on those in the past. I will show you what I end up with if I do any base cards. Speaking of base cards, let's talk about base pages. So I also had a lot of larger scraps that I thought I could maybe make a base page out, or 2 base pages out. So think of these like page kits, only scraps, and I'm actually going to do the layout so that all I have to do is add photos, sentiments, and embellishments. So it's one step up from a page kit. So this would be the first one. I've combined these as well. I thought this would look kind of fun. Can do something with that. This is an embossed paper. This is really old. I'm trying to think how old this is. It's from King & Company. I want to say it's probably like 2004. But I really like it with this orange plus. I thought that was kind of fun. And then also when I threw in this orange grid, I thought I could maybe make something work out of it. I'm not sure if I like the grid and the orange together, but we'll play around with it. This side, not so much, but maybe that side. If I don't end up using this, I will just trim this down to 3 by 4 sides because they make great journal cards. This is another one with just a hodgepodge of leftover bits. These are all from Paige Evans, so that should be easy to put something together. I had some leftover bits from Simple Stories Summer Days, as well as some jelly bean soup with this yellow. So I thought that might be kind of fun. And then this is also from Summer Days. I don't know if I'll use these cards, but I had them, so I will leave them there for now. So for this piece of paper here, I think this was jelly bean soup. I also had from Pinecone Press this red that actually happens to match the butterflies just great. And this is from Stampin' Up, I believe, and I thought, oh, I could add that as a focal point or something like that. So we'll play around with that one as well. And then the last one, this is from Paige Evans, and then this is Now and Then, and I really like those two together. And I also had this from Life Captured. I can't remember who this was by again. Echo Park. And so I like the three of those together. I also had this one from Pink Paisley, which goes with this paper, and another one of these. So I thought, well, maybe I could combine something with the leftovers. So that is that. Let me get going on putting the page kits together and trimming out everything else, and I will be back to show you what I came up with. Okay, so now that I have my scraps all under control, I'm going to show you what I ended up with. These are all the ones that I have pre-cut with die, so they've got like a stitch die or postage stamp edge to them. These are just going to go in that bin I showed you earlier, and these are great for making really quick cards. And in fact, I used quite a few of them in making my base cards, which is what I'm going to show you next. I also put in this Felicity Jane pocket just some of the larger, smaller white scraps. These are great for punching out shapes, making labels, or stamping sentiments when I need them. I also made a bunch of card bases similar to the concept of a scrapbook base page. Basically, these are card starts. I've already laid down the foundation. Usually what they need is just a focal point and a sentiment, or in some cases just a sentiment. A few of these are not on card bases, they're just panels, and the reason why I did that is because I thought these might look cute with a ribbon or something tied around here, and I just didn't feel like pulling that out right now because that would add bulk, and for storing purposes that would be a little bit of a pain. So here's where I use those die cut panels, and then I just added my layers of scraps. They're just very simple cards. Some of these had envelopes, so I just tucked that in so they're ready to go. Just layering up the paper across the front. This is one where I would probably just add a sentiment and call it done. And I actually made two of these. Usually when I'm doing this and I have scraps, I just work with what I have. I don't necessarily have a plan. It's just the way they fall, so to speak. And so in a lot of cases they will end up looking very similar. This one is just a card panel in and of itself. Could I have added this to this stack? Yes, I could have, but I found for the most part that I like these to be solid cardstocks and not so much pattern, which is why I threw that over here. These ones are starts on my Christmas cards for next year. Simple full sheet, and then these ones I matted again on more scraps, so I got a double whammy out of some of these. This was actually packaging from a Little Pretty Studio, I think it was, and I thought it would make a cute Christmas card. It's got some snowflakes on there already, so I would envision just stamping a sentiment or adding a sentiment and maybe die cutting a couple snowflakes to finish this one off. I got these card bases a long time ago. I only have a few of them left, and I thought this plaid worked really well with this base. Again, I probably would just get away with putting a very large die cut that says Merry Christmas, or of course I could put an image and then have the sentiment off to the side. Who knows? We'll see what I come up with in the future. Okay, let me show you those base pages. These two base pages that I'm going to show you are using scraps that have a travel theme. I had done some layouts in my travel binder, and these were the leftover bits, and I just, again, used, for the most part, the shapes that they were in and just found a way to make them work. When I do place a mat like this, I will often write on it what size the mat is. So in this case, it's a 4x4, so that when I'm ready to go add a photo to it, I know what size I'm working with instead of having to measure it. So just a little tip there. This is the other one, and this one really could go in any direction when I'm ready to use it, but I did intend it to go this way. I do envision having a title or something down here, and then probably a photo or two up here, and then maybe journaling. Who knows? That's the beauty of doing base pages. So this one here, I used the wood grain floral piece and then this very large mat. Does this have to mean I use a photo that's this size? Absolutely not. You could add a smaller photo. Here, let me just grab a piece of paper to show you. So this is not quite 4 by 6, it's probably closer to 3 by 5. You know, you could add a smaller photo down here. You could add a couple photos. You could do a couple photos side by side and then your title. So there's lots of options with this. And again, you can rotate however you need it to work. So this was an interesting pairing. I did not think of using orange with this paper originally, and when I looked at this paper separate from the orange, I didn't see much orange in it. I just saw the pink and the yellow. But when I laid the orange right next to it, I could see on these rosebuds here some of that orange that popped out, and I really like how this one turned out. I would probably add another strip here. Maybe a white strip so it would be matted on the pink, just to kind of brighten it up a little bit, because this is reading very similar in tone. But I thought that would look really cool to have a matte on this piece and then the title of the layout, and then the rest of it of course is easily done because it's basically just a flat page. So for this layout here, I actually took some washi tape and used it to create the border here and the border up at the top. And I did that just to help break up the pattern. So even though this is a pattern, there's something about stripes, I think, that just helps your eyes focus on things a little bit more clearly. This pattern paper had a repeating chevron stripe. I did trim out the chevrons, the scallop part here of the chevrons, just to make an interesting border at the bottom. I double matted this, so there is a really thin light pinky purple matte and then the blue, and then I did again write the measurement down here. Obviously this would easily take a 4 by 6 photo. Of course you could always do two 3 by 4s and stack them. You could add another photo here if you wanted to, and I would probably add the title along this border here, or possibly even along the bottom, and probably lined up on this edge here to just balance that off. With this paper collection, I had some 4 by 6 pocket cards, and I thought it would be fun to add this one just with the journaling. It does have a flamingo on here, which I don't have a problem leaving in, but if I did, I could easily cover this with another embellishment piece. You know, if you just added a die cut circle, you know, you could put your title in there if it's not super large and mask that if you wanted. And of course the lines will lend itself perfectly to journaling. And this is a 4 by 6 mat, so I would have to trim a 4 by 6 photo down slightly to have a bit of a border, but that's usually not too difficult to do. Because I had so many patterns going on here, I did add a rough or a loose border, just pen bordered that on. I don't use a ruler or anything for that kind of thing, and I do like having that irregular line. I just think it makes it look a little bit more organic. So this layout here was interesting. This was from this paper here was from a Christmas, and butterflies always scream summer, so it was fun that those matched up. I also had some red solid cardstock that I thought would be fun to just kind of break this up from the white background, and then I also added the borders just to jazz it up a little bit. This is a 4 by 6 mat. Again, 4 by 6 photo, just trimmed down slightly, will fit very easily on here. I would probably add another card or something for journaling here and put a title up here. Who knows? Who knows what I'll come up with when the time is right. This one is a very, very, very basic design. It is just basically horizontal strips. I did not add any borders or anything on here at this point. I could see me doing some sort of stitching on this one, but I didn't feel like doing it at this point in time, so that would be a touch that I would add when I actually decide to use this paper. Or the other thing I could do is add some sort of border strip across the seams here, or possibly some washi just to jazz it up a little bit more. This is really a very versatile layout. You can do anything you want with this one. So I had a pretty large piece of this polka dot, and I did butt it up against the side. I like doing this periodically. I just think it's kind of fun to have something a little bit off center. I also butted up this striped piece, and I really liked how that one works. I forgot to write a measurement on this one, so I'll have to do that. Again, a very flexible layout in the sense of You don't have to use this mat just for a photo. You could take the photo, for instance, flip it this way, and you could add a photo there very easily. You could add even a larger photo if you wanted to. An easy spot for journaling, add a title or something down here, or you could flip it around. And again, like always, you do have options. And that is the end of what I did with my scraps this go around. I hope you're encouraged to tackle your scraps. Don't just store them in a box. Get them out and put them into something that's one more step closer to being used. Thanks everyone for joining me, and until next time, happy crafting.